Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the messy, deeply emotional reality of why modern relationships fail, and more importantly, how to actually maintain them. We'll be leaning on some incredible insights from Dr. Kashika Jain to map out exactly where couples go off track, especially later in life. Plus, we'll cover the actionable steps you can take to fix those cracks before it's too late. Let's just jump right in. So, are marriages really made in heaven? We absolutely love to say this. Why? Because when things go south, it gives us a super convenient out. We can just shrug and say, well, bad timing, or blame fate. But Dr. Jain completely challenges this whole habit we have of dodging personal responsibility. A successful relationship isn't some kind of celestial magic trick. It's grounded entirely in the very real conscious choices two people make every single day. You build it and you maintain it right here on Earth. Okay, moving into section 1, the myth of perfect matches. Now think about this. In our modern world, simply saying I love you is actually often pretty conditional. We say it because our partner fulfills our own selfish needs, right? They make us feel complete or give us this cozy sense of comfort. But what happens when life throws a massive curveball? We're talking intense financial stress, a sudden illness, or a career totally collapsing. That comfort-seeking kind of love, it just wilts. It's actually enduring acceptance and mutual respect that form the unbreakable foundation you need to survive those inevitable life storms. And look, we're so conditioned by rom-coms and perfectly curated social media feeds to hunt for this 100% flawless partner. But spoiler alert, that person literally does not exist. Here's the actual magic number, 90%. Dr. Jain stresses that if you can be happy with someone who aligns with your core values 90% of the time, your brain will automatically step in and filter out that remaining 10%. Those tiny, annoying habits like leaving wet towels around or chewing just a bit too loudly. Chasing total perfection just guarantees you'll be perpetually disappointed. Which brings us to section 2, recognizing the silent cracks. Have you guys ever heard the term silent divorce? It's this incredibly painful state where a couple slowly degrades into basically just being roommates. They share the same address, pay the bills, coordinate the kids' schedules, but the emotional and physical intimacy, it's completely gone. And honestly, people will stay in this phase for years just out of fear of societal judgment or the dread of a messy legal battle. But the psychological toll of existing together in total silence under one roof, it is absolutely devastating. The crazy part is that the shift into a silent divorce happens so quietly, you almost don't notice it. It starts when you're sitting on the same couch, but you're both endlessly scrolling on your phones with absolutely zero urge to even speak to one another. Emotional distance just creeps in. You stop sharing vulnerable feelings and replace real conversations with, transactional updates like, did you pay the electric bill, or we're out of milk. When your partner stops noticing your physical presence entirely, those are the foundational cracks that eventually bring the whole house down. It is fascinating how just a slight shift in our vocabulary completely changes the outcome of a conflict. If you point a finger and say, you are always busy on your laptop, your partner instantly feels attacked, right? They throw up a defensive wall. It's a guaranteed fight. But if you pivot to vulnerability and instead say, when you're busy on your laptop, I miss you, you tap into their deeply human desire to feel valued by you. Vulnerability, not accusation, is how you actually bridge the gap when you feel yourselves drifting apart. All right, on to section 3, subconscious relationship baggage. Here is a really surprising psychological truth for you. Your brain is hardwired to crave familiarity, even if that familiarity is totally toxic. We subconsciously project our parents' relationship dynamics right onto our own partners. If you grew up seeing constant bickering, stonewalling, or emotional neglect, your brain kind of normalizes that. In fact, if a healthy partner actually tries to be super caring, your brain might register it as a threat or an attempt to control you, simply because it's just not used to healthy, unconditional support. Breaking this cycle is entirely on us. It is our responsibility. You have to actively recognize your parents' specific patterns, pinpoint exactly when your brain is inventing false threats based on your past, and consciously separate your current partner from your childhood trauma. And yeah, it takes real, deep work. If you don't do this internal rewiring, you'll continuously self-sabotage a perfectly healthy relationship just to recreate the chaos your brain thinks is normal. You basically end up punishing your partner for your parents' mistakes. Let's move to section 4, midlife marriage breakdowns. So why do so many marriages collapse later in life? Well, a midlife divorce is rarely a sudden explosion. It's more like a slow, agonizing burn. At 5 years in, maybe you're just ignoring small daily resentments to keep the peace.
But fast forward to 15 years, and those compounded unspoken stresses create a massive nervous system overload. By year 25, usually when folks hit their 40s or 50s, the profound midlife hormonal changes combine with a deeply exhausted nervous system. People literally lose the physical and mental energy to keep up the charade. The burnout is just total. Dr. Jain highlights a really tragic reality here. Just having family physically present doesn't cure loneliness. The most dangerous loneliness is having the people you can count on one hand sitting right next to you, yet feeling like they don't understand your heart or your struggles at all. It's this hollow emptiness that often drives people in their 40s and 50s to desperately seek a new shoulder to cry on. And sadly, this overwhelming need to just be seen and heard is exactly what so often leads to extramarital affairs. Okay, finally, Section 5, Maintenance or Graceful Exit. So, what do we do about all of this? Well, if you want to maintain a marriage, you really have to treat it like a fragile plant. You absolutely cannot expect a perfect, abundant harvest if you aren't putting in the daily work of providing attention, emotional safety, and time. It's wild when you think about it. People will drop tens of thousands of dollars on the wedding day, but won't spend 10 uninterrupted minutes a day genuinely listening to their spouse. Daily, small investments of emotional support are the only fertilizer that actually works. Without it, the plant just withers. Now, while patience is key, Dr. Jain makes it unequivocally clear that staying at all costs is incredibly dangerous. You are not meant to sacrifice your life and mental health for someone who fundamentally disrespects you. If you're facing true deal breakers like constant public insults, someone blocking your career, or any form of emotional or physical abuse, and they show zero willingness to put in reciprocal effort after months of trying, you absolutely must prioritize your own well-being and find the exit. And if the relationship plant is truly dead, how you end things becomes the ultimate test of your character. One path is the ugly fight. This brings endless trauma, fake allegations, public shaming, and worst of all, weaponizing the kids as pawns. The alternative is the graceful exit. This allows both people to acknowledge their deep incompatibility with mutual respect. By choosing grace, you retain your dignity and you fiercely protect your mental health as you navigate what is undeniably an incredibly difficult transition. I'm going to leave you with this final thought to reflect on today. Happily ever after isn't some magical destination you just arrive at. It is a conscious decision you have to make every single day. So, look at your own life and ask yourself this honestly. Are you actively maintaining your relationship with daily effort and vulnerability? Or are you just dragging it along on the momentum of the past? Think about it. Thanks so much for exploring these complex psychological insights with me on today's Explainer, and I'll catch you next time.